situation. Brenda Barnes, who suffered from a stroke, has stepped out from that role, and they're trying to figure that out. Those are the latest details, but Deirdre will send it back to you.
John, thanks very much. Well, we are back now, as promised, with John Hofmeister. He is the former Shell president and now CEO of Citizens for Affordable Energy. John, before we took the break, we talked about the fact that this presidential panel seems to find BP free of the gravest charge that it faced, which was that it put cost-cutting measures ahead of safety. You say you are in agreement with that report. The report, though, does raise some pretty other big safety concerns. This discussion that BP made as far as removing the heavy drilling mud before fitting that final plug, some of the other safety issues. You maintain, in finding with the presidential report, that this was mostly the team on the ground making mistakes, not BP as the general company.
That's right. When you look at BP's track record in Deepwater, look at their operations around the world, they have very good talent, they have very good processes, and this is an anomaly. It was an anomaly the day it happened. It remains an anomaly. This was a combination of circumstances, for whatever reason, where people involved who have to make judgment calls, I think, were too single-minded in their desire to shut in that well to move the rig on to its next project.
So, John,
that single-mindedness of purpose can be really fatal in a hydrocarbon world where you have to take more things into account simultaneously.
John, you point out the dangers and obviously the risks associated with deep water drilling, but yet you are still for it, right? In fact, even Citizens for Affordable Energy is still behind the idea of drilling in the Arctic, for example.
Every morning when we all wake up, we need 20 million barrels of oil in this country to get through the day. If we stop drilling, there is no substitute in the near term for decades that would replace that 20 million barrels of oil. So the fact that we don't have the political courage to continue to move ahead on drilling is going to cost America its competitiveness, its security, and its lifestyle. I think that's wrong. I think the politicians have made horrible judgments here over a terrible accident, but it's a one-off accident. It was one individual or several individuals that didn't communicate, didn't make a good judgment. It's not the entire industry. And to give the entire industry the back of the hand, the way this administration has done, is totally wrong,
John,
and harmful to the American economy.
How can you reassure people, though, because we all saw the images of this oil leaking out every day, birds covered with oil. I mean, I hear you saying that it's an anomaly, but you yourself said it is high risk.
It's always high risk. Every coal mine, every well in this country, every refinery represents risk. But we also have a lifestyle, we also have an economy to run that runs on oil. And we have to take some risk. But 40,000 plus wells, Deirdre, in the Gulf of Mexico have never had this happen before. 40 years of track record, never happened like this before in the Gulf of Mexico. I rely on the data. The data says the industry knows what it's doing, and we should go ahead and pursue what is good for America and good for the economy,
John,
and keep drilling.
Just to play devil's advocate, what about taking all this money and all this human capital, human energy, and putting it towards greener sources?
Well, when it comes to our transportation, there really is no alternative other than batteries and possibly hydrogen fuel cells, and of course mass transit. This country has a hang-up with building mass transit systems. This administration has dramatically slowed down the Bush administration's effort on hydrogen fuel cells, and batteries, we know, lead us to the same kind of crunch point on raw materials, because the lithium that is needed for lithium-ion batteries doesn't exist everywhere.
John.
And so we have a problem.
John,
we need oil.
Well, we know we have a problem. Maybe we can get more infrastructure, more mass transit in the meantime. John, we do thank you for the time. John Hofmeister joining us there, former Shell president and current CEO of Citizens for Affordable Energy.